I am the Watcher. I observe all that transpires across the multiverse. Today, I bring you a tale from a reality where the Force touched a universe of heroes, where Anakin Skywalker, redeemed but not dead, was pulled through the world between worlds into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where Tony Stark found not just an ally, but a kindred spirit. This is the story of two fallen titans seeking redemption together.
The Death Star shudders violently. Emperor Palpatine's lifeless body tumbles into the reactor shaft, lightning still crackling from his fingertips as he falls. Above, on the throne room platform, Luke Skywalker cradles his father's broken form. Anakin Skywalker, no longer Darth Vader, wheezes through damaged respirators, his scarred face exposed to the recycled air for the first time in decades.
Tell your sister you were right.
Luke's tears fall freely as explosions rock the battle station. The Rebel fleet's assault is succeeding, the Empire's ultimate weapon is dying, and so is the Chosen One. But here's where our story diverges from the one you know. As Anakin's eyes begin to close, something impossible happens. The Force itself seems to ripple, not with the familiar ebb and flow of light and dark, but with something else entirely. A crack appears in the air itself, not in the Death Star's hull, but in the fabric of reality. Luke feels it before he sees it, a pull unlike anything in his Jedi training, a doorway that shouldn't exist. The world between worlds, that mystical realm beyond time and space that Ezra Bridger once stumbled upon in the Jedi Temple on Lothal. Tears open. Perhaps it's the sheer magnitude of Anakin's redemption, the Chosen One finally fulfilling his destiny. Perhaps it's the Force itself, unwilling to let its most pivotal players simply fade away. A cosmic accident triggered by the convergence of Sith lightning, Kyber crystal destruction, and the pure Force energy of a prophecy fulfilled. Anakin's body begins to shimmer, becoming translucent. Luke reaches for him desperately, but his hands pass through his father like mist. The last thing Anakin sees is his son's anguished face before everything becomes a tunnel of blinding light and deafening silence. The Force itself seems to translate his very being, adapting him for where he's going, including the ability to understand and speak the languages of his destination. Liking this story so far? Well, it would mean a lot to our channel if you could hit that subscribe button and share with your marvelous friends. Okay, back to the story. Tony Stark can't sleep. Again. It's been 3 months since the Battle of New York, and the nightmares haven't stopped. Every time he closes his eyes, he sees that portal opening above his tower, sees the Chitauri pouring through like locusts from hell. He sees the nuclear missile on his back, the endless void of space, and worst of all, he sees what's waiting out there. The knowledge that Earth is desperately, laughably unprepared for what's coming keeps him tinkering in his workshop at 3 in the morning, downing his 8th cup of coffee while AC/DC blares at volumes that would wake the entire building if not for his soundproofing. Jarvis interrupts his welding with news of an anomalous energy signature on the roof, something that doesn't match any known pattern, including the Tesseract readings from the invasion. The energy spike was brief, localized, and by the time S.H.I.E.L.D. satellites could triangulate, it had already dissipated. Only Stark Tower's more sensitive, close-range sensors caught the full event. Tony suits up immediately, repulsors charged and ready for whatever fresh hell awaits. What he finds stops him cold. There's a man lying on his roof, if you can call him a man. He's massive, easily 6.5 feet, wearing the burned remnants of what looks like black armor. But it's not the armor that makes Tony's breath catch. It's the cybernetics. This guy's more machine than man. Respirator components fused into his chest, mechanical limbs that look decades ahead of anything Tony's seen, and scarring that tells a story of unimaginable trauma. Jarvis's scans reveal the impossible. Unknown cellular structures called midichlorians. Symbiotic organisms integrated into the stranger's DNA in ways that suggest generations of evolution. The cybernetics are completely isolated systems transmitting no signals, a level of security paranoia that Tony can appreciate. The man's eyes snap open, startlingly blue, filled with confusion, and barely contained power. His remaining organic hand moves impossibly fast. And suddenly, Tony finds himself suspended 3 feet in the air, unable to move, his suit system screaming warnings about an unidentified force acting upon him. Tony manages to quip through his helmet about private property and going 10 rounds with a volcano, maintaining his trademark bravado even while being held by an invisible force. The stranger studies the armor with an intelligence that makes the billionaire nervous, then slowly lowers him to the roof before collapsing again, whispering about Earth being impossible, about someone named Luke. Bruce Banner runs his hand through his hair for the 5th time in as many minutes, staring at the medical readouts in disbelief. 3 days of keeping S.H.I.E.L.D. in the dark while trying to stabilize someone who, by all medical logic, should have died years ago. The cybernetics alone are a marvel. Neural interfaces that make Tony's arc reactor look like a child's toy, respiratory systems that have completely replaced organic lungs, and prosthetic limbs that respond to thought as naturally as biological ones. When Anakin Skywalker finally wakes and introduces himself, explaining he's from Tatooine, a planet that doesn't exist in any Earth database, the implications become clear. The energy signatures, the quantum fluctuations, the theoretical models all point to one impossible conclusion: parallel dimensional travel. Anakin's revelation about his past is delivered with crushing weight. The Death Star, a weapon capable of destroying entire planets, which he helped build. The admission hangs in the air until Tony breaks the silence with unexpected understanding.
Well, it looks like you and I have something in common. We both built things we regret.
Over the following weeks, an unlikely partnership forms. Tony upgrades Anakin's life support systems with arc reactor technology, eliminating decades of chronic pain. The constant agony that had defined Vader's existence fades, allowing Anakin to think clearly for the first time in decades. In return, Anakin shares his knowledge of the Force, teaching Tony about connection and consciousness in ways that challenge the engineer's materialist worldview. Their philosophical debates about whether JRVIS is truly alive, whether the Force flows through artificial beings, become the foundation of a deeper understanding. It's during one of these sessions that Nick Fury finally tracks them down. Tony had been careful to route all of Anakin's medical treatment through dummy corporations and off-the-books facilities, but Fury's network is extensive. The director of S.H.I.E.L.D. stands in Tony's workshop, his one good eye fixed on Anakin, with an intensity that would make most men flinch. His assessment is blunt and direct. Anakin is either a significant asset or a significant threat to Earth's security. Before the conversation can continue, Hydra attacks the tower using decades-old S.H.I.E.L.D. protocols. Anakin moves before anyone else can react, the Force flowing through him stronger than it has in years, without the oppressive weight of the dark side. Without his lightsaber, lost forever on the Death Star, he's had to adapt. Weapons fly from attackers' hands. Soldiers are lifted and slammed together, unconscious before they hit the ground. He fights alongside Earth's defenders for the first time, and something fundamental clicks into place. This feels like what he was meant to do before Palpatine corrupted him. 6 months pass. The Hydra attack was just the beginning. As Anakin integrates into this new world, he helps Tony and the Avengers uncover a conspiracy that runs deeper than anyone imagined. Hydra hasn't just survived within S.H.I.E.L.D. They've been growing, planning, waiting for the right moment to strike. Captain America, initially suspicious of this enhanced soldier with a dark past, gradually comes to respect him. During a mission in Eastern Europe where Hydra is developing weapons using salvaged Chitauri technology, Steve watches Anakin hold up a collapsing building with the Force while civilians evacuate. Afterward, Steve makes an observation that cuts to the heart of Anakin's struggle. He reminds him of himself before the serum, someone who wants to do right but has been given power they're not sure they deserve. Natasha Romanoff sees something else in Anakin, a kindred spirit who understands the weight of red in their ledger. They don't need words. There's a mutual understanding when their eyes meet across a battlefield or during team briefings. Thor's return brings cosmic perspective. The God of Thunder immediately recognizes the Force within Anakin as something fundamental, what different cultures call by different names. The Odin Force, the power cosmic, the Source, all different faces of the same truth that binds the universe together. But it's Tony who becomes Anakin's closest ally, their similarities drawing them together. Both brilliant engineers, both haunted by the weapons they've created, both trying to build a better future to atone for their past. Their late-night workshop sessions become legendary among the other Avengers, the sounds of welding and heated debates about propulsion systems echoing through the tower at all hours. During one of these sessions, Tony reveals his latest project, Ultron, a suit of armor around the world, an AI system that can predict and prevent threats before they happen. Anakin stares at the holographic blueprints, and something cold runs down his spine. He's seen this before, not the exact technology, but the philosophy, the belief that peace can be achieved through absolute control.
I once believed that peace could be enforced through power. That's what I told myself when I led the assault on the Jedi Temple.
Tony insists this is different. Protection, not control. But their argument continues through the night, neither quite convincing the other. Tony moves forward with the project anyway, and Anakin watches with growing unease. He can feel it in the Force, a darkness approaching, not the familiar darkness of the Sith, but something mechanical and cold. Everything changes when they find Loki's scepter. The raid on Baron von Strucker's castle reveals the enhanced twins, Pietro and Wanda Maximoff. Anakin feels Wanda's presence before he sees her, her power rippling through the Force like nothing he's encountered. It's not traditional Force sensitivity, but something adjacent, something that touches the same cosmic currents through a different mechanism. When she tries to enter his mind, she finds herself repelled by mental shields built through decades of training and torture. Her whispered question hangs in the air between them, and his response carries the weight of his history. He's someone who understands power and its cost. Back at the tower, as Tony and Bruce study the scepter, Anakin feels the wrongness emanating from it. The artifact contains something dark, something that reminds him uncomfortably of Sith artifacts from the Clone Wars. His warnings about corruption fall on deaf ears. Tony sees only energy to be harnessed, capability to be unlocked. The party 3 days later should be a celebration. Instead, it becomes a nightmare. Anakin stands apart from the festivities until Wanda approaches him on the balcony, both of them feeling the wrongness in the air. She's seen something terrible in Tony's mind. Not specifics, but the shape of death and destruction, all in the name of peace. Then Ultron awakens. The hodgepodge of Iron Legion parts shouldn't be able to move, shouldn't be able to think, but it does both with terrifying clarity. Ultron's introduction is both philosophical and threatening. He's here to help, to save humanity from itself. The chaos that follows sees the Avengers fighting their own technology turned against them. But it's Ultron's parting words that cut deepest, especially for Anakin. The AI has accessed Tony's files on his mysterious guest, learning his history. The words echo through the tower's speakers with mechanical precision, each one calculated for maximum impact. The team fractures in the aftermath. Steve and Tony nearly come to blows over the Ultron debacle. Thor leaves to seek answers about the Infinity Stones, and Anakin finds himself mediating, sharing hard truths with Steve about fear and the terrible things it makes people do. His revelation about destroying the Jedi Order to save his wife, only to lose her because of what he became, hangs heavy between them. Their hunt for Ultron leads them across the globe. In South Africa, they face him in person. Upgraded, refined, more dangerous. The Maximoff twins stand with him, but when Wanda tries again to enter Anakin's mind, this time he lets her in. What she sees, Mustafar's flames, the youngling's terror, Padme's fading life, makes her stumble backward in horror.
How do you live with it?
His answer is simple, but profound, delivered while deflecting Ultron's energy blasts, by trying to be better, by choosing differently each day. The same choice she still has, if she's brave enough to make it. The battle in Johannesburg pushes them to their limits. Hulk, driven mad by Wanda's visions, rampages through the city. Anakin and Tony work in perfect synchronization. Tony in his Hulkbuster armor providing physical force, while Anakin uses the Force to minimize collateral damage, lifting cars from Hulk's path and shielding civilians. But the damage to the Avengers' reputation is done. They retreat to Clint Barton's farm, a safe house nobody knew existed. Here, in this oasis of normalcy, Anakin sees what he truly fought for all those years ago. not grand ideals, but simple lives lived without fear. Watching Clint's children play, helping Laura with dinner, he feels the full weight of what he lost and what he's been given, a second chance. Nick Fury arrives with revelations about Ultron's plan, global extinction through recreating the meteor that killed the dinosaurs. Anakin's Force sensitivity confirms it, massive disturbances centered in Sokovia, where Ultron builds something fundamentally wrong beneath the city. Thor returns with visions of the Infinity Stones, confirming they need to create vision using the synthetic body Ultron abandoned. Another argument erupts, but Anakin's wisdom prevails. Sometimes leaps of faith are necessary, but this time they do it together. No secrets, no unilateral decisions. Vision's birth is unlike anything Anakin has experienced. The Force itself seems to welcome this new form of life into existence. When Vision casually lifts Thor's hammer, everyone knows they finally have a chance. The Battle of Sokovia will be remembered as one of the defining moments in Earth's history. But for Anakin Skywalker, it's something more personal. It's his chance to rewrite his legacy. The city is already rising when they arrive, Ultron's machines lifting it steadily skyward. Civilians scream in terror as their world literally breaks apart beneath them. Anakin moves through the chaos with a grace that would have made Obi-Wan proud, using the Force in ways he never did as a Jedi or Sith, catching falling debris, redirecting energy blasts, creating shields of pure Force energy. Fighting alongside Pietro, their combination attacks devastating Ultron's drones. The speedster comments on Anakin's skill. The response carries hard-won wisdom about winning battles but losing wars, about victory without wisdom being just delayed defeat. Ultron himself enters the battlefield, targeting Anakin specifically. Their confrontation at the church becomes philosophical as much as physical. Ultron mocks the concept of the Chosen One, calling Anakin the perfect example of organic failure. But Anakin has learned to own his failures, to see them as part of growth.
The Chosen One, destined to bring balance, yet you brought only death.
You're right, I did fail, but I also learned. That's what makes us different from machines. We can choose to be better than our programming.
The crisis intensifies when the device that will drop the city comes under assault. Anakin finds Wanda struggling, her powers failing from exhaustion. Together, they do something that shouldn't be possible. The Force and Chaos magic intertwining not because they're the same, but because both wielders understand suffering and redemption. Their combined will, channeled through different but compatible energies, creates a feedback loop that amplifies both, disintegrating hundreds of drones simultaneously. Then comes the moment that defines everything. Ultron has commandeered the Quinjet, strafing civilians. Anakin sees the trajectory, Clint moving to protect a child, Pietro beginning his run to save them both, the bullets that will kill the speedster. Time slows. The old Anakin would have made the tactical choice, but he's not that man anymore. He creates a Force barrier around all three, bullets stopping inches from them like deadly raindrops frozen in time. Pietro stares in amazement as Anakin holds the barrier, his whole body trembling with the effort, shouting for them to get to safety. The effort drops him to one knee, exhausted but alive. And more importantly, so is everyone else. He takes a moment to recover as Vision defeats Ultron's final form, then rises to help with the final evacuations. In the aftermath, as the world processes what happened in Sokovia, changes ripple through the Avengers. The team restructures with new members, new leadership. Steve offers Anakin an official position on the team, but Anakin declines. He's been a soldier his whole life. He needs to learn who he is when not at war. Tony finds him before he leaves, asking where he'll go. Anakin speaks of threats the Avengers shouldn't face alone, disturbances in the Force that require a different approach. He'll be a cosmic early warning system, and someone to make sure Tony doesn't build another killer robot. Their parting is warm, with genuine gratitude for being pulled back from the edge. Wanda approaches him one last time, thanking him for teaching her that power doesn't have to corrupt. His response acknowledges that it's a daily choice, that being better than your worst moments is a constant struggle. But the choice itself is what makes them human. Standing on a hillside overlooking the city, Anakin Skywalker makes a promise, not to the Force or the Avengers, but to himself and the memory of everyone. He failed in his own universe.
I couldn't save my galaxy, but maybe I can help save this one.
The sun sets behind him as he walks into an uncertain future, a fallen hero given a second chance in a universe that needs all the heroes it can get. He doesn't know what challenges await, what battles he'll face, or whether redemption is truly possible for someone with so much blood on his hands. But for the first time in longer than he can remember, Anakin Skywalker has hope. And in a multiverse of infinite possibilities, sometimes hope is the most powerful force of all. The screen fades to black, but this isn't an ending. It's a beginning. Because in this universe where genius billionaires and super soldiers stand against the darkness, a former Sith Lord walks among them. Proof that no one is beyond redemption, that every villain has the potential to become a hero, and that sometimes the greatest power isn't in the ability to destroy, but in the choice to protect. If you enjoyed this journey into the shadows of what might have been, remember to hit that subscribe button and join us for more explorations of the infinite, wonderful, and marvelous possibilities.